Hi guys, we're back with another Technique Tuesday. We're filming during class. We have a couple of our students here on camera, just so that you know we actually have students. And we have a bunch of our students behind camera. And we're gonna do some staff defenses. Now, you were here last week, we were working on these. There's some fun techniques, right? We'll recap some of what's going on, and I'm gonna teach you the first technique that you guys are gonna work on. So, first thing, why don't we move this way a little, and you guys can kind of just back up. Like I said, you're just proof that there are actually students, and it's not just Devin. Yeah. So, first thing, if he's stabbing or jabbing a bow or stinging, we're not going to do stinging right now. If he's jabbing a staff, one thing I want you to realize is this is much like a punch, in that if this is coming at me, okay, let's say he's jabbing at my face, I can actually parry, I can redirect this weapon. Now, I don't recommend that you just stand there and try to block. I recommend you try to move out of the way. You try to close the gap and tie him up. But what I'm trying to point out is if he's swinging a weapon, this is a completely different story than if he's jabbing the weapon. Just like if he's throwing a punch, what I have to worry about is running into the punch, into the end of the punch. I'm not going to block a punch like this. That's just foolish. I'm going to get hurt. I'm not going to block a punch with my face. That's stupid. So if he punches, if he punches, I can parry, right? I can redirect. Now, if he's throwing a roundhouse punch, I could block it, although I recommend you try to meet his action with one of your own. We've talked about that quite a bit lately. But an arm is much different than a stick. We're not going to block a club. We're not going to block a staff in that sense. So what we're going to deal with is he's jabbing. Now, I'm going to try to move out of the way. And we could try to sneak underneath and disengage his grab. I could spin him around and take him to the ground. That's a technique we looked at last week. What I want to start with is just a simple disarm. So nothing fancy. The objective is I'm getting in here. And as I grab, he might be pulling that staff back. I'm following him in though. You don't want to look at this, just like when we're trying to trap a punch, you don't want to look at this as I'm grabbing and I'm controlling, because the second he jabs his staff out, it's probably coming back. And I do have to be aware that that other arm might start coming at me, might start trying to strike. But for now, as I move out, I'm trying to move in. So as I move his attack outward, I'm trying to physically move myself inward to kind of tie him up so he doesn't have as much distance to build up momentum with his weapon. So I come out and I'm moving in. Now I might be following him back, that's fine, because I want to grab this end, okay? And it's a little more difficult to grab if, say, he has it tucked underneath. But as he draws it back, this will expose itself, I can grab. And what we're going to do is we're using leverage. Just like if you go to a door, and if you push on it near the hinges, it's more difficult to move the door. If you push farther away from the hinges, maybe where the doorknob is, you're going to find it's much easier to move the door. That's why doorknobs are at that end of the door. So we're creating a pivot point around the center. I'm going to step and I'm going to twist and disengage his grab. Let's change sides. So what I don't want, just extend out, I don't want to grab right near his hands, because now resist me, right? This is an arm wrestling match. If I spread my grip a little bit, resist. Now with not much effort, you can see I can twist him up and I can disengage his grab. Now there's a limit to that. If I start going too wide, it's going to be really difficult for me to move. So I want to go just a little bit wider than his grab. So we're out here, I grab, and now I disengage. Now I could come back and I could strike. For now, we're just working on the disarm, and then we can start exploring some other options after you understand the disarm. Okay, so he's coming in, I'm moving out of the way. I'm gonna follow him in. I wanna really close that gap to try to tie up the use of his weapon so it's not as effective. And now I'm gonna drop back as I twist and I take the weapon away from him. Okay, so let's try that. So I want to point something out really quick. Again, if he's jabbing and I'm getting in here, when I think this is probably best from this angle. When I'm twisting, so from this point, as I twist, I want to stay close to him because now I could actually start attacking his base. And it's also going to give me more power. I don't want to be out here trying to twist. I'm closing the gap because it ties up his weapon, but also as I close the gap, I'm thinking about where the weapon is and where I need to be in order to bring maximum power behind my movement. And so I want to be in closer to the weapon and closer to him as we turn and as I perform the disarm. And then, like I said, it lends itself to further applications. Now, of course, don't let go of the staff when you're doing this.